The Urban Armor Gear Metropolis for the original iPad Pro was my #1 case. This Urban Armor Gear Metropolis for the iPad Pros for 2020 is not. Why? Because the standout feature of the old version was that you could remove the flap, which allowed you to use your smart keyboard in a pinch. This new case doesn't have that anymore. In fact, having this cover permanently attached to the case has resulted in Monty giving a nickname to this case. Monty calls this Flappy. Honestly, if you're not planning on getting a keyboard or an Apple Pencil, this Urban Armor Gear case might be worth considering, but if you are planning on drawing and typing, this case really just doesn't have what it takes. At MobileReviewsEh, Monty and I base all our reviews on actual usage. We use a product, then we score it, and then we review it, and then when we review enough products, we'll do a comparison video. No shortcuts, that's how reviews should be done. The iPad Pro fits tightly in this case, and when the cover is wrapped around a case, it feels rock solid. It won't slide around easily on any surface. The case will make your iPad Pro feel much thicker and bulkier. It is definitely bigger than the Otterbox Symmetry 360 that I last reviewed for the iPad Pro. The latch attaches magnetically, and your Apple Pencil has a small holder to keep it in place. The cover will also put your iPad to sleep and wake it up when you flap it open. If you're planning on getting a screen protector, you'll need to get one that doesn't get too close to the edge of the device. My last screen protector review, the Tech Armor Ballistic Glass, didn't fit well with this case, so the Spigen Glaster that I have in this video will. The Metropolis is going to wear well over time, as the textured pieces may scratch over time, but those pieces aren't found on the corners of the iPad, so the occasional drop isn't going to scuff it up. Overall, I do like the texture of this case. There's a lot of stuff for your fingers to hold on to, even though there are a lot of like quirks, we'll say, you know, holes that look like screws on the back of this thing, and little plastic holes that look like you put lanyards through it, though I wouldn't recommend it. Honestly, I've been a fan of the entire Metropolis lineup because of the finish that they use, and oddly enough, it was called frog skin back then. Now it's just called traction grip. The power button is covered, though the volume buttons are not. The port cover looks deceptively large, but the only cable I could use with this case was the Apple cable. None of my third-party cables worked with this case. Now, two-handed usage, or just using your iPad, was subpar. Why? Because of that damn flap. On the old version, at least when I got annoyed with it, I could remove it, but I can't with this new version. So when you're shifting positions on your couch and like it just kind of like slaps, like that's just annoying. It's just gonna flap down on you. I'll be honest with you, this is the only product when it comes to iOS accessories that has bagged me mildly. Only because this flap just landed on me and at a certain angle when I was on the couch. I had no issues using the pseudo pro cameras on the iPad Pro. In fact, the only saving grace about this case is that the viewing angles aren't set, so you can pick whatever angle you want as long as it's between 110 and 140 degrees. Now 30 degrees doesn't seem like much, but contrast that to the two angles that the Spigen Tough Armor Pro gives you. So, you know, infinite amount of choices, 2 on the other Spigen product. Now standing the case up in portrait mode is tentative at best, but it is still possible. This orientation has become very handy for FaceTiming Monty's grandparents. Now when it comes to extra versatility, the Metropolis falls on its face. I've come to appreciate the modularity of the iPad as I bounce between a keyboard to writing many times a day. Apple stock accessories are really good for that, but with the Metropolis, you can't do that easily. The case is so annoying to take on and off. But this extra versatility only matters for people who want to use the keyboard or an Apple Pencil with it. So if you're just using this as an iPad with nothing else to it, still look at a different case. I still like the Symmetry 360 over this one, but you know, it's pick and choose your battles, I guess. Seriously, it's this flap. And unlike the Otterbox Symmetry, if you're not using an Apple Pencil, the magnetic latch on the front doesn't adjust, so you just end up having this loose flap. And when it comes to protection, it says that it's approved drop tested mil standard 810G 516.6. Are there any photos of it going through the ground? That all sounds great and whatnot, but with the mil standard, it depends on weight, and this thing, the minimum is gonna be 4 feet. I wouldn't drop it any higher than that, so, you know, hip belly button height. But if you do drop it, the oversized corners of the case will provide a little bit of reprieve when you go. Last thing about protection is that the cover does not come off quite easily, so when you do drop it face first, and I hope you never do with an iPad, it's going to offer a decent amount of protection for the screen. So that's all I got for this video. Questions, comments, leave them down there. If there are other iPad cases you want me to take a look at, I've got the sub case and the iBlazing ones coming. I've got the Spigen ones upstairs, so got a bunch of iPad cases. There aren't actually that many, which is surprising to me. I've got the Scout for the Urban Armor Gear as well, and I've got a bunch of keyboards that I'll start going through as well. I'm saying as well a lot. This is the first time you're watching one of my videos, considering getting all your stuff through my Amazon links. And when it comes to Urban Armor Gear, they're actually pretty good in terms of sending me stuff to review, but they only sent me the Scout, they didn't send me the Metropolis. Yeah, out of all the Urban Army Gear stuff that I've reviewed for the isolation video series, they've only sent me actually just the Scout, so I've went and bought everything else. So if you want me to keep reviewing these products, it's still kind of working financially. So help me out by getting your stuff through my Amazon links. That's literally the best way I can keep this channel unsponsored. So yeah, thanks for watching. The Urban Army Gear Metropolis.